everyone, and welcome to the XT-640S-DTG webinar. Now, to start with, we may as well take a look at what DTG is, and there are many methods to decorate a garment depending on the quantity or the type of fabric being used. But let's quickly look at some of the popular ways and how DTG differs. So screen printing is very popular, and the prints are very long lasting. However, due to setup costs, it's better suited for limited colors or larger production quantities. It's also quite difficult to achieve intricate, detailed, or photographic designs, and the overall quality of the image is maybe not quite as good as some other options. Heat transfer printing uses a specialist printable heat transfer media and something like an eco-solvent ink. It's easy to print complex designs, but the process can be quite slow, and again is best suited for lower quantity production runs. Also, as you are printing onto a film, this can be felt by the wearer, and it can be a little stiff for larger designs. Dye sublimation is a digital process using a transfer paper, then heat and pressure to transfer the ink gas onto a fabric. The quality is good and the results are very hard wearing, but dye sub has its limitations when it comes to garments. The ink is only compatible with polyester fabrics, and you cannot sublimate onto colored fabrics. So while this makes the process ideal for sportswear production or similar, standard regular t-shirts and other everyday items are normally made from cotton or cotton-rich materials. So sublimation is more about garment creation rather than garment decoration. So basically printing the individual components, the front, the back, the sleeves, and then assembling into the final garment. And finally, DTG, or direct to garment. As the name suggests, direct to garment uses ink to print directly onto the fabric or the item of your choice. The ink goes into the fibers of the fabric, meaning you don't feel the design or the ink when you touch it. The ink is also compatible with cotton, cotton-rich, or white polyester fabrics, so it's very, very versatile. DTG ink also has white, so it's possible to print onto colored fabrics as well as white fabrics. And as it's also a digital process, the level of detail in the image to be printed is never an issue. So depending on the DTG printer, it's also easy to print low quantities or hundreds of garments with literally no setup cost. So what do you need for DTG? The equipment needed will depend on your production targets, but there are three basic stages to look at. Stage one is pre-treatment. So this is the process of priming the garment with a special liquid ready to receive the ink and add extra washability to the finished item. This can be done with an automated machine for high throughput. It can be done manually using something similar to an atomizer, or by simply buying garments that have already been pre-treated and that are ready to use. The pre-treatment stage is also vital to flatten down the fibers of the garment to improve the overall print quality. Stage two is the printing. DTG devices vary in shape, size, functionality, and cost, ranging from single station desktop type devices that print one item at a time to multi-platen printers costing hundreds of thousands of euros. And finally, stage three, which is the drying. So again, based on your production targets, there are various devices that can cure the garment, ranging from hot air draw systems to heated conveyors or just a simple heat press. So here is the device we'd like to talk about today, the XT-640S-DTG. This printer is built using our Texart XT-640 print engine that we have adapted to suit DTG ink. We have a sliding rail-based system for loading and unloading jigs. It uses our Inku DTG pigment ink, which is suitable for cotton, cotton blends, or white polyester fabric. And we have a CMYK double white config, so we can print onto white and colored items. So let's take a look at some of its other features. So the XT-640S has a unique sliding base plate docking jig platen design. We have a base plate, a docking jig, and then a jig collar to secure the garment. The main jig platen is made from aluminium and resin, so it's lightweight and easy to change, but it's also very stable. And each jig is fully adjustable with a leveling system to make sure you have a perfectly flat surface. We can also use the same size or mixed size jigs together for maximum versatility, which is perfect for, especially for short production runs. As part of our jig fitting system, we have flexible loading options with up to 12 stations, and we can combine various jig sizes within the same print run. Here we have the standard 3 full configurations, so 12 small jigs, 8 medium jigs, and then 4 large jigs. And then some of the options available to us by mixing the sizes. At the bottom right here, we have a mix of all 3 sizes, so 2 large, 2 small, 2 medium, and then 3 small. So this means that you can mix all 3 sizes. So it's ideal for shorter runs where the printer could be ready for any size garment at any time without changing out the jigs, or you could use this config for producing various sizes at the same time. The jig sizes allow us to cover a wide range of both children and adult size garments. Even the smallest jig with a print area of 200 by 260 millimeters could be used for baby items through to large adult. And the largest jig of 400 by 490 millimeters is suitable for up to 4XL. With the jig sizing, and because we can control the head height of the printer very easily, this allows us to use a suitable head gap to clear obstructions such as product seams, for example. So in some cases, we can use a single print process for the main shirt design, and then we can also print at the same time an inner collar customization. The inner collar area could be used as a serial number, a name, or just something as simple as adding a brand in the same print run. Maintenance is a key factor in any DTG device, and we have tried to reduce what the user needs to do to keep the printer in good working order. The main factor here is the white ink circulation to make sure the heavy white pigments don't settle and you can keep a strong white coverage. Roland R&D teams have great knowledge of ink circulation systems and managing white ink, as it's been a key part of our EcoSol and UV ranges for some time now. DTG ink is a little different, but using the same knowledge, we made a new intelligent circulation system with 2 modes. Standard mode circulates the white ink every 4 hours. Then every 8 hours, the printer checks how much white ink has been used in printing. If a reasonable amount has been used, then the printer will just continue to circulate. But if needed, the printer can circulate, then clean the white. This helps keep the white ink ready to go whenever you need it. And light mode circulates the ink still every 4 hours, but at 72 hours, it will perform a circulation and a small clean. This means this mode is suitable for low white ink usage sites or for extended shutdown periods, such as holidays, for example. And as an extra feature we have added to XTS is user replaceable cap tops. So keeping your cap tops in good condition is an integral part of any printer's maintenance. And now on XTS, users can follow a very simple procedure to refresh these if needed in under 10 minutes. So while the devices are called DTG, the reality is that the printers can be used to decorate a number of items, not just clothing. Items such as interior decor, personalized gifts, bags, etc. are all possible. Our Inku DTG ink is Urqutex EcoPassport certified, and it's compatible with cotton, cotton rich, or white polyester fabric. So if the item falls under one of these categories, it should be printable. The ink also has industry-leading washability obtained under ISO standard commercial washing tests, so you can be assured that the printed item will last the test of time. To give you an idea of speed and costings per shirt, if we use our medium-sized jig, which has a print area of 300 by 400 millimeters, and we produced 8 white shirts with CMYK only, using industry standard metrics for speed, we can print 58 items per hour at high quality, 109 at standard, and around 200 in high speed. And looking at the average ink usage between the 8 items, our costings here for the ink range from just 12 cents to 24 cents for the ink alone. If we do the same again, but this time with a layer of white ink for a colored garment, we can achieve around 27 at high quality, 56 at standard, and 90 at high speed. Again, the average ink costing between the 8 shirts ranges from 33 to 73 cents as an example. Now, these designs are not exactly full coverage of the print area, but even with a design that was full coverage and high quality, I would still expect the pricing for the ink for a white garment to come in at less than €1. And it's worth noting that this jig, although our medium size, is actually quite large and close to A3 size. Many other manufacturers quote speeds and costs based on sizing similar to an A4 print. This is more in line with our small 200 by 260 jig, which if used would reduce the costs further and also increase the productivity. Another big part of any solution is its software and how it helps users to be more productive. For XT-640S, we have the latest version of our Ergosoft Roland Edition 3. This is built on the latest Ergosoft version 16 platform and has some great features. It has position templates for simple image placement on the garment, so the RIP knows exactly where the position of each jig is, and it's a simple drag and drop process to fill each station. These templates are also configurable to allow rotation and automatic sizing if you wish to print a variety of sizes from just the one file. We can also easily auto-generate a white ink layer from the print file, so you don't need to edit the file or create the file in a design application. Based on your file type, you can choose from a selection of presets to get a preview of how the white will be printed. Also, we can choke the white layer by a few pixels, which means we get excellent registration between the white and CMYK layers. Now, this is one of my favorite tools, background color removal, which allows us to remove the garment color from the file we're about to print. Here we have a photographic file with a full black background. We want to print onto a black shirt, so wouldn't it be great if we could use the black in the shirt to substitute for ink? By saying we are printing onto a black shirt, the RIP will remove all black from the image and create a white layer for the CMYK to sit on. Here we see the area inverted, so the darker the area, the higher the white concentration. Now, if we didn't remove this background, it could mean that we get a very noticeable step between the color of the garment and the color in the actual file itself. But with BCR, we don't get this. We get great transitions between colors, we save ink, and we improve the feel of the garment. This process works on any color shirt, so it's possible to add a swatch book of colors from garment manufacturers, so you know that whatever color shirt you are printing on, you can reduce the amount of ink you use and still get great results. And to keep the printing process simple, we have created print environments for both white and colored garments. The color options already have a layer of white added, so users can just select the white generation for their file and click print. For advanced control, users can also define other parameters from the print layer manager. In here, users have full control over individual ink layers, dot types, and pass rates. This means if you just want to print a quick underbase of white, you can adjust the pass rate down for a quicker print. Then for your final CMYK layer, you can use a different setting to get the quality you desire, all within the same print job. And in a similar way, there may be times when you want to print more than one layer of white. In this case, we can specify an overprint for the white layer, but our CMYK will be printed as normal on top. These settings can be saved as a new print environment, so you can easily recall these settings for future production. So to summarize, the XT-640S-DTG offers an amazing price to performance capability. It uses ink that is well tested and well received within the DTG markets. We have added maintenance functions to maximize the printer uptime, and we've combined this with a bespoke, well-equipped DTG RIP package. And in December 2020, we were very happy to hear that the XTS was awarded DTG Product of the Year at the EDP Awards. So this was a very high accolade for a brand new product, and the judges were very impressed with the XTS overall, calling it the first interesting alternative to existing printers in the market. So that's all from me. So I will pass you back over to Joe. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks for that overview. Like loads of depth there, looking at all of the different aspects of the XTS, which is brilliant. What we're going to do now is try and jump over to this video. We're just checking that it's loaded correctly. No, which doesn't seem to have loaded correctly into the software. So we'll skip the video again for now, and we'll just do it live instead. So as you can see, I'm stood in front of the XTS at the moment, and what we'll do is I'll go through loading a garment onto one of our jigs, and then we'll jump over into the software and just show you a short step-by-step of how you can sort of bring in your design into Ergosoft as well, ready to print. So as Mark mentioned in that presentation, there's lots of different arrangements that you can have for the configurations of the different size jigs on the bed. At the moment, if I just move the printer backwards here, there's a control tower here, which I'm just pushing some buttons just to move the device around. You can see that we've got 2 of the medium-sized jigs at the front here and 3 of the smaller ones. And then at the back, at the moment, we've got 2 of the larger size jigs. But as you can see, you can change these configurations quite readily. The jigs just slide backwards and forwards, and they stop when they get into position. So you can just slide them forward, which makes it much easier for changing over your garments as you're working on the machine. We've got one t-shirt loaded. I'm just going to do 2 white t-shirts for this demonstration. Obviously, you can load as many or as few of the designs as you see fit, and you can then coordinate that with the software to match where you've put your garments on the device. So in order to load one of the jigs, these jigs can be removed. And if you see the side profile there, which hopefully you can see okay, there's a gap so that when you're pulling your t-shirt or your garment or whatever it is over, there is a sort of space for the back side of the garment to tuck away. This plate then sits into the docking plate, which sits on the device. So it's really easy. That just clicks into place. And there's some, I think it's nylon threads around the side here to add tension to your garment as you put it down. So I've got a t-shirt here. These t-shirts have been pre-treated, ready for printing. So I'm just going to pull this over the jig, and I'm actually pulling this towards me at the front. You can have the jigs flipped around the other way. It's nicer to have them this way around just for printing as an example, because you'll be able to see the print the correct way up as it's coming off the printer. So we'll pull the sleeve or the t-shirt over the jig and just make sure that it's nice and square and as flat as possible. It's been pre-treated, so it does sit very nice and flat anyway. And then you've got your collar, which you press over the top to clamp it into position. So just as I'm putting that collar on, just want to check that there's no sort of creases towards the edge, but it's pretty easy to do. We can just check that that's nice and flush, and then that's it. We're ready now to push the jig back, and it will just stop when it reaches the correct position. On the control tower now, I can just move the printer towards the front of the bed here. And then there is an option just to press one button for it to go back to its home starting position, ready for printing. If you were printing the front and the back of the bed, for example, you can load from the back for the back set, because the jigs slide backwards and forwards on the back as well. So if you're in a production environment, you can have people, or loading and unloading from either side or one or the other side to really increase productivity as well. So now the device is ready. That was pretty much it. There is a sensor in the device there so that it can scan and find the correct height for printing. We've been printing the same t-shirts regularly here. So what we've done is just configured that at a specific height, which you can then just enter onto the control panel, and it will always find that height perfectly. So you can configure that for different garments to speed up processes, or as you said, you can use the sensor regularly to just find that height as and when you're printing on the device. That's it though. Now we're pretty much ready to print. So what we're going to do is just jump over into the software. So I'm just going to step over here and share my screen. And there we go. So this is the ErgoSoft home window. And what we're going to do first of all is load the jig template. So the position templates, as we said, these can come in a different variety of different configurations. The one we're using here has got 8 of the medium-sized jigs. Because we're only printing the first 2, this will work for us. Then we're going to import the files. So we've just got a couple of demo files that we're going to use here and add those into the RIP. And then you can pull these around and just snap them into the jig positions that you need. So if they come in at a different size or in a different area, you can just drag these in and they'll snap into position in the jigs templates. So the top left on your screen there is the bottom right on the printer. So we're just using the same job here, but these could be different jobs, could be different garments, could have black t-shirts and white t-shirts, a combination of anything. And next, we're just going to choose the print settings. So we can just choose the quality, the device options, whether we're printing white, CMYK, that kind of thing. But that's pretty much it. ErgoSoft does have a lot of detail and capabilities, but it can be pretty easy just to get a job going as well. And that's it. Once we press print, we can jump back over to the webcam. So just stop sharing my screen. There we go. I think we're back on the printer. So that will send the file over, and once it's finished ripping, I think. There we go. Then that will send the job over to the printer, and we'll start printing. As I said, the control tower is part of this. You can probably see on the screen there, actually, just in the background, that we do have a pre-treat unit on the side there. As Mark mentioned, there's lots of different types of pre-treat unit, but this one kind of not too large, just sits next to the device there, which is quite handy as well for our printing. So just checking what's happening with our file. We did send it. It looks like the rip's just waiting for us a second. So just
Did you start the print queue?
Yeah, oh, there we go. Sorry, didn't start the print queue. Our fault. So just forgot to press one of the buttons. So as soon as you start the print queue, ErgoSoft's got a couple of different windows that we just hadn't opened up there. As I said, we're only printing CMYK here, not white and CMYK, just for this demonstration. But you can do mixtures of the two. And I think Mark mentioned in his presentation that you can choose different print qualities as well for the white and the CMYK if you're doing that, which is quite a neat feature. What we'll do after we finish printing as well, just check if that for some reason the video that we were going to show you hasn't loaded into the software properly. No, getting the shake of the head there, unfortunately. What we can do though is we can get that video uploaded, and for everybody that's joined the webinar, we'll send a link so you can watch that afterwards as well. But it was just basically a bit of an overview of the device and the jig system and things, which we've shown you pretty much anyway, so not too much of an issue there. Oh, bear with me, I think. Oh, sorry, we are printing. I'm just tripping over my mic cable there. It looks like we're too far away from the garment there. Sorry, I think we've, my bad there. Always happens when you're in the middle of doing something, doesn't it? Sorry, in my haste of pushing the buttons, I think that I pushed the wrong button to lift the printer up. As is the live demonstration, unfortunately, it sounds like sod's law that's going to happen. What we'll do is we'll just resend that one. We do have some of the t-shirts from a print earlier. I don't know if you could grab one of those, Kai. Sorry about that. In my haste to be looking good on camera, I've pressed one of the wrong buttons to not set the print height correctly. So what I need to do is just resend that job. But this was the job, we printed it earlier just as a demo. So that was the file that we set up on the garment. Once you've printed that, as we said, they do need to be finished afterwards. They do need to be post-cured to seal the ink or fix the ink on the device. So when it comes off the printer like this, you wouldn't want to be rubbing the sort of garment together or touching that because the ink is still wet in effect. But yeah, unfortunately my live demo didn't work too well then because I missed my printing. Yeah, what I could do is just turn over the t-shirt. So I'll just get this set up, and if anybody's got any questions, please pop those into the chat. And what we can maybe do whilst I'm just resetting this up is we can answer some of the questions. So I don't know if Mark, if you can come back on, and Ollie, if you can read out some of those questions, we'll answer those whilst I just get this set back up.
Sure, I'm here.
Brilliant. Any questions for you there, Ollie? No questions coming in yet. Okay. We ran another session yesterday and we had about 15 questions, so I thought there might be a few more questions coming up, but it doesn't look like it. So
one of the questions that came in yesterday would be helpful to answer. Can you print the whole bed, or is it just the templates or the jigs that are stuck with it?
Okay, so that was one of the questions that we had when we ran a session yesterday that we thought might be useful for you guys. Somebody did ask whether it would be possible to print the whole bed rather than just the jig stations. So I don't know if you can cover that one, Mark. I think you're muted, Mark.
Sorry, I pressed the button twice. Yeah, it's possible. you can do this, and the size of the bed area that you get is around about 1.6 meters by 950 millimeters, so it's a reasonable size. So that means that not only could you put a garment on there, but you could maybe put a sheet of fabric on there as well. And just while Joe's loading that, we talked about being able to combine the sizes of jigs that you can use, so we can mix and match the sizes. But also you can mix and match the colors. There's no reason why you couldn't have a mixture of white, black, colored t-shirts all on the same print file. You know, you can easily control from each template station exactly how that works. You can combine that with all of the tools that we've shown before, like the background color removal, for example. So, you know, if you're printing a file, you could have 12 t-shirts on there. And each one could be a different color, and each one could have its own background color removal. So we kind of constantly keep trying to minimize the amount of ink that you're using and get the best quality from it as well. So you can combine the sizes, you can combine the colors, all fully customizable.
Perfect. Nice one.
A few more questions coming now.
Okay, we've had a couple more questions come in, so we'll try and tackle these. But what we're doing is just pressing those t-shirts again, just to get them nice and flat, ready for printing, because we'd scrunched them all up. So whilst we're answering these questions, I'll load these onto the device in the background. Another question there. So are there any jigs for sleeves, Mark?
At the moment, there are no specific jigs for sleeves, but what we are looking at doing is, obviously, the way the jigs work currently, you can actually position a sleeve in there to be printed. But we are looking at expanding the range of jigs and functionality in the future, whether that would be to include things like zips or pockets or hoodies or other things as well. You know, we create the whole ecosystem of the jigs, so therefore it's very simple for us to expand those out to suit certain applications.
Okay, there we go. So I've just loaded these t-shirts and just popped them back into place. And now the bit that I forgot to do, being live on camera, was just to set the height. So I didn't set it back down to the bottom after we had lifted it back up. As you know, the device can go higher and lower. So if you are printing on thicker materials and things, obviously the chassis of the printer can move up and down. Okay, a couple more.
And that's
questions.
actually quite a good point. I touched on it in the presentation, but we can control the height of the system to fractions of a millimeter. We also have effectively what's called a distance mode for this machine as well, which means we can create quite a large head gap between the surface of the head and the garment, but we can still create the precision that we need for the dot to land in the right place. So if you did want to print over a heavy seam, or again you wanted to look at a hoodie where we're trying to cover the front pocket, for example, or something like that, we have the incredible control over the height to be able to do all those things.
Perfect. Thanks, Mark. Good. Well, a couple of questions coming in, so just get these from Ollie.
So Millens asks, can we print on non-fabric? And also, are there jigs for knit top shoes? The examples we've listed for non-fabric are plastic mugs, steel bottles, phone cases.
So the question was, can we print on non-fabric items such as bottles, phone cases, plastics, mugs, that kind of thing?
For this ink platform, no, that wouldn't be suitable. But obviously, that would be more something on the lines of a UV printer, for example. The second part of that question, I think, was to do with shoes, if that's right. And that's part again of our future plans, where we can expand the jigs that are capable to print onto a number of items.
Brilliant. Oh, okay, just 2 secs. So finally reset the t-shirts now, and we just reset that exact same job from ErgoSoft. So we should get that printing now, but whilst that's printing, we can answer a couple more questions.
Rude asks, is there a positioning system?
Is there a positioning system? That was the question. I assume that relates to where the jigs are on the bed. I mean, yeah. Elvis, I don't know if Mark, if you want to answer that one.
It just comes under the template manager that we have within the RIP. So basically, each, as I think we touched on, each individual station, regardless of which size jig you are using, is known by the RIP. So it therefore makes it super simple, as you showed, just to drag the files in, duplicate them into the different stations, and then produce them in exactly the right place. So Yeah, it is quite straightforward. We've also, I think you touched on this as well, we have parameters into each of those individual template positions. So we will have them configured where they will maybe automatically size the print to be what we class as a suitable size for the garment, so it can fit to height or fit to width. We could also rotate it, which you mentioned before as well. And we can control all of those things. You can add those things, or you can take them away. You could just use the position templates as a guide, and then you could just put a small logo in there, and then you can manually move it within the template to where you want it to be. You don't have to rely on the tools to fully scale the item up for you as well.
Yeah, I guess if for example, the jig size that we were using there, the medium size, I mean, if you're only doing a small print, you know, a sort of pocket size print, for example, you probably use the smaller jigs because you can fit more on there. But you could even create, you know, small guidance lines on the collar, for example, so that you know where you're going to be printing on your garment, depending on your output. But I'm sure there's lots of different ways, in addition to using the software for positioning, but for other types of positioning on the bed as well. Any more questions there?
Do you think it would be possible to print colour polyester? How long might it be before that's a possibility, if it is plausible?
I don't know if you guys can hear that through my mic coming through from all over there, but is it possible to print onto dark polyesters, and will that be possible down the line?
The problem with dark polyester is it's not necessarily the printing onto it, it's more the secondary process of the drying and the curing. You get dye migration. So once you try and print onto a color, print onto a polyester which is already dyed, and then you have to put it through a second heat process, you can then lose some of that color. So I'm not aware, I'm sure there are technologies underway that maybe can look at this, but I'm not aware of anything specifically at this stage.
Okay.
Just one final question. So Rue followed up on his point around, is there a positioning system? He said the positioning from the garment on the jigs. I don't know if that's a specific term.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, I think there was more of a, I don't know if you can hear that, Mark, coming through, but more about the positioning of
I did.
of the garment. So I guess some kind of preview from above or anything like that.
There isn't at the moment. I mean, I know there are also commercially available certain kind of transparent ruler type systems, for example, that you can align the neck of a garment and then place that on the jig. We don't have that at this stage. But what we find is because of the sizing and the shaping of the jigs, it's actually quite straightforward to sort of find the neckline, bring it onto the jig, and be within a very close tolerance of being exactly where you need to be. But it's a good point, and it's, you know, we're always looking at how we can make these things better, or what people are actually looking for as part of the solution. So it's certainly something we can investigate also as well.
Brilliant. As you can see, sorry, we just reset the printer basically whilst we reset the different, taking off the old garment and changing over the height, but it is just finishing up those prints now, so we'll take those off in a second. If we haven't answered any of your questions that you've sent in, we'll get back to you individually after the session. And apologies that my video didn't work. As you know, live technology doesn't always work for you. So what we can do is send out that video link to you guys afterwards. But any more questions or any more information that you need about the device, just reach out to your local Roland offices or your local Roland dealer, and I'm sure they'll be able to help. In the meantime, what we can do is we'll just pause that print just because I think we're going to finish up. Oh no, we're going to finish the print, and then I'll pull one of these off, and so at least you can see the print finishing, which was the the aim of this little live session at the beginning there. But any more questions in the meantime, just pop those into the chat, and we can answer those afterwards. I hope you found the session useful and being able to see the device sort of in live action in the background. Although we did have a little bit of a technical issue, which apologies for, but it always tends to happen when you're doing something live. What we can do there is just, if we just stop that, and I'll pull these forward and I can take off one of these just so at least you can see the final thing, even though we did have a few technical issues. There you go. So that's the finished t-shirt. And as we said, that would then just need to be finished in a curing unit. But thanks, Mark, for joining us for the presentation part of that. And as we said, any further questions or anything, please get in touch. But enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for joining us.